AKs are some of the most prevalent guns that you will come across within Tarkov. Makes sense, right, considering the game takes place in a fictional Russian setting. But even with all the imports of weapons from across the world, Kalashnikov still feels as though it is the most common sight across all the maps in the game. Whether or not it's the best effective gun is a different story, but seeing AKs more than any other weapon in Tarkov feels like a no-brainer. But with so many AK variants in the game, it's hard to discern which one stands out from their cousins, brothers, and sisters. And with there being 3 main caliber types for AKs, you'd probably think that 545 or 762 would be seen as the top of their food chain. However, I'm going to disagree here, even if just a little bit. Some people may know where I'm going with this if it wasn't obvious enough, but 556 AKs, the 101 and 102 respectively, might actually be the best AKs currently in the game. If you disagree, I'd love to hear your takes down in the comments section, and maybe consider subscribing so we can have more conversations about games like this and weapons in this situation. So initially, your first thought is probably what makes these guns so special compared to other AKs, and that's a great question. If we just look at the AK-101 and 102, other than being 556 weapons, nothing really stands out in terms of performance. It fares very comparable to all other AK platforms, but the devil's in the details, and I'm specifically talking about attachments, muzzle attachments. 556 suppressors are some of the strongest muzzle parts in the entire game, and having an AK be able to use them with the use of an additional muzzle device makes these two specific AKs potentially more powerful than their 545 and 762 counterparts. 545 gets the short end of the stick for their suppressor choices because only one option works for both recoil and not completely tanking your ergo. The Waffle suppressor has a combined minus 24% recoil when paired with its muzzle device. All the other options have less than half of that benefit. And 762 does give the 101 and 102 a run for their money because they can use 308 suppressors, which are just as strong as 556 ones. The PWS suppressor being king for both 308 options as well as the AKM, which is the only normal AK that can attach 308 suppressors. And honestly, any of the 556 options are fairly solid. Of course, if we want maximum effectiveness, then the only option is a tie between the Saker suppressor and the AWC Thor suppressor. Both will net you the lowest recoil numbers possible just by themselves. But again, almost every 556 suppressor is good. So between these two, it comes down to personal preference and what you like to run more often. But one factor that might sway your choice is the ammo that you can use in tandem with these guns. Ammo is ultimately what will either put other players on the ground or have them turn towards you and angrily remind you why ammo is so important. Maybe not so much 762 because that caliber is just so potent once you have access to better rounds like 762 BP, which is arguably the most consistent round in the entire game, or the newly added 762 PP round, which, if I may rant for just half a second, BSG, can we please get a different naming convention for these rounds so we don't have 12 ammos named PP, BP, BT, PS, etc., please? Anyways, the new ammo packs an immediate punch between PS and BP, clocking in at 55 damage and 41 penetration, more than enough to draw plenty of players in the game. Of course, BP is always what you want, but until you can consistently craft it for yourself, this ammo is a very happy medium for the weapon, if a little expensive at 900 rubles a round. As for 545, the ammo has seen some love as of recent memory, with BT now crossing over the 40 pen club, which is actually a big deal, because before, sitting at 37 pen only got it so far. It felt like such a jump between BT to BS, it was so large to warrant how bad that ammo actually was. But now with all the ammos across the board getting better, this caliber feels much more fun to run in general. However, right now as of this wipe, 556 has some of the easiest ammo to get a hold of between all 3 of these calibers. At level 14, you can unlock Peacekeeper level 2 and have instant access to 56A1, a 37 pen round, which feels as strong for that level as you can get there fast enough. And if you really want to go all the way, at level 24, after you complete the Cult Part 1, you know where they normally give you 56A1? Well, now you get 55A1, which is wild to think about. 44 penetration ammo at level 24 that you can buy from the vendors. Granted, it's almost always sold out, so it can be hard to get unless you camp the traders a little bit, but still. This factor alone really lends itself to the AK-101 and 102 often because these better ammos are so easily achievable than they previously were. Now, I'm going to be honest and say that this might be just because this wipe is going to be shorter, ending in December roughly at some point, so it wouldn't surprise me if these changes get tweaked back to what they were previously, but if not, then I'll be damned. 5.56 just got a whole lot better than what it was previously. Now, for the guns themselves, they are modified with all of the appropriate AK parts, which doesn't take a ton to make them feel like straight shooters, especially if you're running a powerful suppressor, and even if you aren't, just an NT4 AK with a PSO scope is really effective for how cheap it can be assembled. But if you're really looking for the best AK possible you can build regardless of price, here it is for the 101 and the 102 because the shorter barrel does not allow for the same gas tube handguard combo, so it's a little different, but here are some pictures. They're both very close in terms of each other's performance, and personally, I'm torn on whether I prefer the 101 or the 102. They're almost the exact same gun, but one just has a slightly shorter barrel, but I think I lean towards the 101 because it can use the CMRD handguard, which I always love the way it looks on AKs, but both guns are fierce and should be considered going forward with this and potentially future wipes. The AK platforms keep getting new members added to the game all the time, and while it is always cool to see, you can't forget about the ones that have been in the game for years. And for a while, the AK-101 and 102 have been this weird stepchild of this class of weapon. It just didn't fit any real roles and didn't have the parts necessary to make it either interesting or even viable. Luckily, that has changed over the years, and many consider the AK-101 and 102 a sleeper choice for those who want an AK in their hand but want the potential laser beam that a 5.56 rifle can offer. So go on and give these guns a try. You will be surprised by how effective they are, whether they're fully built up to the absolute max or with just the bare minimum on them. These guns might be the best AKs in the entire game. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Be sure to leave your thoughts on these rifles down in the comment section below, and subscribe for more videos about potential sleeper weapons in Tarkov that you need to try. I hope to see you in future ones.